Hey folks, welcome to another day, another unboxing. What I've got here is the Poco X3 NFC. It's kind of weird that they have to put NFC in there, but I suppose a lot of phones in this price range in Asia and other markets like India do not have NFC, as I know from experience. So it's nice to know that this is an affordable phone with NFC from a Chinese manufacturer. So Poco, as you know, is a Xiaomi brand, and they're famous for doing the Poco F1, which was a Snapdragon 845 affordable flagship at $350, $300 roughly 2 years ago. And then they didn't do anything last year, but this year Xiaomi spun them out as their own brand. And I will put it up here, but I've unboxed the Poco F2 Pro, which is a Snapdragon 865 flagship at around $450, $500. So again, affordable flagships, and now they're kind of diversifying. They've done a Poco X2 and a Poco M2 Pro. And so let's open this up, shall we? This is the box. There's not too much here. Some yellow at the bottom, some IMEIs on this end. Poco X3 NFC. Dun, 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 dun. Nothing in here. Then we have a divider here with some documentation, I presume. So let's have a look at that in a second. Oh, look at that. We've got a mirror Poco sticker. You can put that on the back of the windshield of your car or something. Very cool. Then we've got the phone, which is strangely in a bubble wrap. So let's take that out and have a look. There it is. Ooh. All right, let's continue the unboxing and take a look at the rest of the box. There's another divider here, and we've got a USB Type C to Type A cord here. Type A on this end. You can see it there. Type C inside here. You can see it there. With a nice little orange accent, because this is for their custom fast charging. This has 30-watt fast charging with this brick, which is essentially the same as the Xiaomi brick. In fact, it has the Mi branding on it. Let me put it up so you can see. It's 30 watt. So this is going to provide fast charging. This is a European prong, but depending on your market, you will get it with the right adapter for you. So let's have a quick look at what's in this box here. We got this nice little sticker, and here is SIM removal tool and some documentation. Oh, and a case. Nice. Got a little TPU case. That was the same with the Poco F2 Pro. So you've got a warranty card and a little welcome guide thing. Nothing too fancy here. Multiple languages. And then of course you have a case. It's a TPU case, very typical Chinese phones. This is well fitted. Doesn't get too yellow with time. So good start. If you don't have time to get a case right away, you can get a case in the box. So let's move that nice little tattoo art out of the way and have a look at the phone. So here's what you need to know. This has Qualcomm's brand new Snapdragon 732G chip. Slightly faster performance than the chip in the Pixel 4a. I'll do a video link up here for my Pixel 4a unboxing. And it's got a 120 Hz 6.67 Full HD 1080p display. That's an IPS panel, not an OLED. And it has a 64 megapixel main camera. It's the Sony IMX6A2, so I'll get to that in a minute. And a quad camera system in the back. And then it has a 5160 milliamp hour battery. That is massive. So let's remove this and free this beast from its trappings. And there's an IMEI sticker back here, so I'm going to peel that off as well. Here we go. Ta-da! Whoa, check this out. This is insane. Wow, look at that. A little bit of adhesive residue here, but I'm not sure if this is plastic or glass, but it certainly has this, glass-like finish to it. With very interesting, you see this vertical band all the way across, and then the camera layout is really interesting. Check this out. See that? It's kind of like an X cross shape. Very cool. Yeah, and this is the front. You can see there's a pre-applied screen protector on here and a hole punch camera. Let's fire it up. Poco. And then you notice the power lock key has a built-in fingerprint sensor here. because this cannot have an under-display fingerprint sensor since it's an IPS panel, not an OLED panel. So while this is booting up, let's speak about some of the specs on this phone, okay? So this Snapdragon 732G is a pretty interesting new chip. It's running MIUI 12, which is Android 10, which is basically Xiaomi's latest skin. And it's got 6 gigabytes and 64 gigabytes of storage, or 6 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes. This is LPDDR4X RAM, so it's pretty high performance RAM. UFS 2.1 storage, relatively high performance storage speeds. It's got a hybrid SIM slot. You can put micro SD cards up to 256 gigabytes. The display is 6.67 inch. You see there's a bit of a chin at the bottom here. Nothing at the top though. It's pretty equal all the way around except for a little more on the bottom. And it's a 120 Hertz display at 1080p, which is pretty awesome. HDR10 compatible as well. Now the other thing to keep in mind is under the hood here is a massive 5160 milliamp hour battery with 33 watt or 30 watt roughly fast charging. Is pretty cool. No wireless charging, of course, but you know, you'd expect that. It has stereo speakers, which is cool. It probably uses the earpiece in the front for one of the channels. And there is a headphone jack, as you can see down here. So I did want to give you a quick tour of the edges. Here on the right-hand side, you have the volume rocker, as you can see here, and the power lock key, which is where the fingerprint sensor lives as well. So it's a clickable fingerprint sensor that's also a power lock key. And then at the bottom here, you have one of the two speakers, primary microphone, USB Type-C connector, and the headphone jack. There is nothing much on the left other than the SIM slot micro SD card tray. And then we have interesting mystery hole here, secondary mic, and what might be an infrared transmitter. Not quite sure. But that's it. That's the lay of the land on this phone. I just want to tell you a little bit more about these cameras. Starting with the selfie camera. The selfie camera is a 20 megapixel. It is f/2.2, 1.6 micron. Which is cool because it does pixel binning. So it's actually 0.8 micron, but it does 4:1 pixel binning from 20 megapixel down to 5 megapixel for higher performance. Very cool. Now, the rear cameras are also very interesting. As I said, there is a 64 megapixel main sensor. It's Sony's IMX682, which is a slightly detuned version of the Sony IMX686, which is a very good and popular sensor right now. f/1.9, 1.6 micron after pixel binning, 0.8 micron native, so you're going to get 16 megapixel pictures out of that sensor. Then there's a 13 megapixel ultra wide. It is 119 degrees field of view and f/2.2 with 1 micron pixels. Then there is a 2 megapixel dedicated macro. Not sure if it has autofocus, but it's f/2.4 and 1.75 micron pixels. And then there's another 2 megapixel depth sensor with f/2.4 and 1.75 micron pixels. So, you know, it does video recording at 4K up to 30 frames per second, at least on the rear. And yeah, it's not a bad set of specs for this phone at all. As I said, there's a headphone jack, stereo audio, no wireless charging, but of course NFC, which is a big deal since it's in the name. So that's kind of exciting. Another thing I wanted to quickly talk about is pricing. Now, they didn't give me official pricing because they want to kind of reveal that. At the time this video is going to be posted, the pricing will be revealed. I'll put it in the name of the video. But it should be around, I figure, $200 to $250, which, if you think about it, is a very, very good deal for 120 Hertz display, quad camera, large battery, a pretty decent mid-range 732G processor from Qualcomm. That Snapdragon is brand new. We don't know much about it, but we all figure it's going to be faster than the 630G in the Pixel 4a. So that's it, folks. The Poco X3 NFC here. I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. Stay tuned. I'll have more content about this on the podcast. So please like this video, tell your friends, subscribe, all that good stuff. Click the notification bell below. And remember, this is a compliment to the Mobile Tech Podcast at mobiletechpodcast.com. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Spotify. Please subscribe to the show, tell your friends. And if you want to hear how I feel about this phone, you're going to have to listen to the podcast. So that's it, folks. Stay tuned. I'll have more content soon. And until then, cheers, everybody.